أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ثم الصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وأصحابه الأخيار أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. We continue with our lessons on Arabic morphology, which we've been using the book تصريف العزي, and inshallah we will be looking at today الثاني المعتل العين. Of course, we need to refresh our minds a bit. We've come so far with the sarf to the point that we've started looking at al-fi'l al-mu'tal, that is the weak verb. And when we say weak verb, basically we mean a verb that has alif, waw, or yai in it, in its radicals, its original radicals. If it has alif, waw, yai in it, the verb is said to be weak verb. And we've said that verbs are measured on the meter fa'ala, fa'ain lam. Verbs are measured on the meter fa'ain lam. And so if I see a verb like dhahaba, it is on the meter fa'ala. If I see a verb like keruma, it is on the meter fa'ula. If I see a verb like something like aisa, it is on the meter fa'ila, stuff like that, basically. So the fa'ain lam represents the three radicals of a verb, and we've done all these meters. And with the weak verbs, when you have the weak letter in the first letter of the verb, that is the first letter of the verb happens to be the weak letter, it means the fa'ul fi'l is the weak letter. If the second letter is the weak one, then we say the ainul fi'l is the weak letter. Likewise, if the last letter of the verb is the weak letter, then we say the lamul fi'l. So the first letter we call it fa'ul fi'l, the second letter we call it ainul fi'l, the third letter we call it fa'ul fi'l, lamul fi'l. And then we did the al-mu'tallul fa', basically the one that has the fa'ul fi'l as a weak letter. We've done that. Now we are going to look at al-mu'tallul ain, that is the one that has the weak letter as the middle letter as the weak letter. Jamil. So with that said, we read, he says, الثاني المعتل العين ويقال له الأجوف. This verb that is the المعتل العين, it is also called الأجوف. Why is it called الأجوف? When we say something is أجوف, that is the masculine, the feminine is جوفاء. When we say something is أجوف, that means the thing has a jawf, it has an inner part, it has a hollow part. So jawf is used to represent the inner part of everything. That is the jawf. Jawf al-layl, that is the inner part of the night. Jamil, jawf al-jism, the inner part. So when we say something is ajwaf, bimana the thing has a hollow part. Why do we call al-mu'tallu al-ain al-ajwaf? Because it looks like the first letter is strong, the second letter is weak, and the last letter is strong. So we have two strong ends and the middle is weak. So it looks like a hollow object. So we call it al-ajwaf for this sake. It is also called dhu thalatha. Why is it called dhu thalatha? Sheikh says, لِكَوْنِ مَاضِيهِ عَلَى ثَلَاثَةِ أَحْرُفٍ. It is called dhu thalatha because its past tense comes on three letters. إِذَا أَخْبَرْتَ عَنْ نَفْسِكَ. If you use the verb to inform about yourself. What does it mean? If you conjugate the verb to the first person. You will understand this right now with some examples. It says نَحُ قُلْتُ وَبِعْتُ. If you have a three-letter verb and all the letters are strong letters, that is, you have something like ذهب, you have something like قتل, you have something like darasa. If you attach it to the damirul mutakallim and you say darastu, you have darastu, four letters. If you add the third letter, which is the tau that represents the damirul mutakallim, if you attach it to the three radicals to make the verb in the past tense for the first person, you are supposed to get four letters. Just like qataltu. just like darastu, just like dhahabtu. But with the Ajwaf, the moment you add the third letter, which is the Damir Mutakallim, what happens is that you get 3 letters. And so it is called Zu Salasa. So a verb like Qala, Qaf, Alif, Lam, the Alif is the weak letter. When you add the Taw, you get Kultu. You get Kultu, which is Qaf, Lam, Ta, Jamil. And then Ba'a, you get Bi'tu. So basically, this is what it means when we say it is called Dhu Thalasa. So the Al-Mu'tal al-Ain, Al-Fi'l al-Mu'tal al-Ain is also called Al-Fi'l al-Ajwaf. It is also called Dhu Thalasa, Al-Fi'l Dhu Thalasa. And then it says فَالْمُجَرَّدُ مِنْهُ تُقْلَبُ عَيْنُهُ فِي الْمَاضِي أَلِفًا سواء كان واوا أو ياء لتحركهما وانفتاح ما قبلهما نحو صان وباع. What does it mean here? The mujarrad, as we all know mujarrad at this level, mujarrad is the original form of the verb without any additional letter. That is the fi'l which is called mujarrad. So if you have a fi'l that is ajwaf, the mujarrad, that is the original 3 radicals, what happens is that no matter what, even if the mu'tal, the weak letter in the middle, even if originally it was waw, originally it was yai, it is tuqlabu alifan, it is converted to alif. Why? He says لِتَحَرُّكِهِمَا وَانْفِتَاحِ مَا قَبْلَهُمَا, because they are having vowels. So let me use an example. You have a verb like qala. Originally, the alif in the middle is waw, so it is qawala, qawala. But this waw, it has a vowel on it, and the letter before it has fatha. In this case, when it happens, this waw, because it's a weak letter, we convert it to alif, so that this alif will serve as a mad to the fatha before it. So we get qala. Instead of qawala, we get qala. So whether you have a yai in the middle, or just like the verb ba'a, originally it is baya'a, baya'a. But because the yai is having a vowel and what comes before it is maftuha, then what do? We convert the yai into alif, so we get ba'a. So he gives us an example, swana wa ba'a. Swana originally is from sawana, and then the waw is converted to alif because the waw is muharraka and what comes before it is maftuha. In that case, we convert it to alif. So if you see qala, ba'a, sana, the alif in the middle is originally not alif. It is either waw or yai that has been converted to that. So the moment you start conjugating, you realize the actual letter is coming out. And then he says, فَإِنِ اتصل به ضمير المتكلم أو المخاطب أو جمع المؤنثة الغائبة نقل فعل من الواوي إلى فعل ومن الياء إلى فعل. So at this point, I think I will need a pencil so that we come with me. What is he saying? He says, فَإِنِ اتصل به ضمير المتكلم. You have a verb like قال, صَانَ, verbs like that. If it is attached to ضمير المتكلم, what is ضمير المتكلم? Taw, dhamma, and na. So you have either ana or nahnu, which will be represented by taw dhamma or nun fatha madal alif. So you have those two dhama'ir. Awil mukhatab, or the pronoun of the second person, which is taw fatha. So ta, you have ti for auntie, you have tuma, you have tum, you have tunna. All those pronouns are second person. أو جمع المؤنثة الغائبة, or the feminine plural third person. Of course, if you are going to conjugate a verb into the past tense feminine plural, you are going to attach the feminine plural third person plural. It is represented by a nun fatha. These pronouns, if you attach it to the verb, what happens? نُقِلَ فَعَلَ مِنَ الْوَاوِي إِلَى فَعُلَ وَمِنَ الْيَاءِ إِلَى فَعِلَ. So you come with me on this one. Pick qala. for the wawi. When we say wawi, we mean the weak letter in the middle is originally waw. So a verb like qala, we say it is wawi. Here, that is what he means. So qala, originally the middle letter is waw. And then ba'a, originally the middle letter is what? Ya'i. So it is ya'i. So pick qala and ba'a, and let's follow what he's saying. If you want to attach those group of pronouns, first convert the verb to fa'ula if it is wawi. So qala will become qa'ula. If it is ya'i, what is he saying? He says وَمِنَ الْيَاءِ إِلَى فَعِلَ. So the ya'i, we will change it to fa'ila, then we get bay'a. Now when you get this, what happens? He says dalalatan alayhima. You are converting it to fa'ula, fa'ila, for the dhamma to represent the waw and for the kasra to represent the ya'i. What happens? وَلَمْ يُغَيَّرْ فَعُلَ. If originally your verb is fa'ula, you don't change anything. If originally your verb is fa'ula, you don't bother changing anything, because we are already changing qawla, we are already changing qala to qawla. So if you already have the meter qawla, don't bother changing anything. وَلَا فَعِلَ إِذَا كَانَ أَصْلِيَّيْنِ. Or if your verb is originally fa'ila, something like you have a verb like ayisa, you don't bother changing anything again. You have a verb like tawula, already it is on the meter fa'ula, you don't bother changing anything again. So we've now changed our verbs to qawla and bay'a. What next? وَنُكِلَتِ الضَّمَّةُ وَالْكَسْرَةُ إِلَى الْفَاءِ. So the qawla, move the dhamma to the qaf, which is the fa'ul fi'l, and the bay'a, move the kasra to the ba, which is the fa'ul fi'l. So what will you have? You now have kula. Here you have bi'a. Jamil. Now you attach your pronoun, which is the tau dhamma. And we've already learned in grammar that when you are going to attach, even without the grammar, when you are attaching these pronouns to the verb, what happens is that the verb will now become mabniyun ala sukun. It means that the ending of the verb will become sukun. So you get kul, qaf, waw, lam, sukun. Then you get bi', baw kasra, yai, ain, sukun. And then you add your tau dhamma to it. Of course, you can't have yai mad and then after it ain sukun. Iltiqa or sakinain, that can happen. So what happens is that we take off the yai, then we get bi'tu. Take off the waw, then you get kultu. So he says وَحُزِفَتِ الْعَيْنُ, the ainul fi'l, which is the yai and waw, huzifat. You take it out, then you now have kul and you have bi'. لِالْتِقَاءِ السَّاكِنَيْن, we take them out because of the meeting of two sukun. فَتَقُولُ, so you say صَانَ, صَانَ, صَانُ, صَانَتْ, صَانَتَ. Look at how it's going. The moment we get to the noon in niswa, ay damir al-ghaib al-mu'annasa, that is jam' al-mu'annasa al-ghaiba, the noon fatha, then it becomes sunnah. Then we get sunta, damir al-mukhatab, suntuma, damir al-mukhatab, suntum, damir al-mukhatab. Why is it becoming like this? Because the verb is originally sana and it is wawi. So if you are going to attach those pronouns, specific pronouns that we've outlined, you first of all change the sana to sawuna. Then you move the dhamma to the swad, you get suna. Huzifat al-ain, you take out the waw, then you get soon. Then you bring your noon fatha, which is the noon in niswa. What do you get? You get sunnah. So you follow these same steps. If you don't get what we've gotten here, then you draw our attention so that we make clarifications. And then وَتَقُولُ فِي الْيَاءِ. So that was for the wawi, because sana there is wawi. It's coming from sawn, yasunu. So the ainul fi'l is waw. The way you look at the ya'i, it says وَتَقُولُ فِي الْيَاءِ ba'a, ba'a. Look at the conjugation. Start with ba, ba'a, ba'a, ba'u, ba'at, ba'ata. The moment it gets to the damir of the jam' al-mu'annathati al-ghaiba, what does it become? Bi'na. bi'ta, bi'tuma. Because where is it coming from? Ba'a. What do you do? Because it is ya'i, you change it to bay'a. Then you move the haraka of the ya'i to the ba. Then it comes bi'a. Then you do hazf of the ya'i because the ain is going to become skun. Then it becomes bi'. Before you attach your pronoun, bi'na, bi'ta, bi'tuma, bi'tu, all those pronouns that they've indicated, then you make them like that. Then what comes after that? وَإِذَا بَنَيْتَهُ لِلْمَفْعُولِ. These verbs, if you are going to do them مَبْنِيٌّ لِلْمَجْهُولِ or مَبْنِي لِلْمَفْعُولِ, what happens is, of course, you know when you have a verb like ذهب, you are going to make it majhul. What do? You make it ذُهِبَ. قَتَلَ, you want to make it majhul. What do? You say قُتِلَ. أَكَلَ, أُكِلَ. So فُعِلَ. So when you have a verb like قَالَ, it is wawi. So when you want to make it majhul, what do? Kuwila. Sana, suwina. Ba'a, what do? Buyi'a. So that is how it's going to be. Now pick any of the verbs that is ajwaf and then put it on the meter of majhul. So let's say we have, for example, sana. What are we asked to do? He says, كسرت الفاء من الجميع. You make the fa'ul fa'il maksura in all of them. So originally we have sana, majhul becomes suwina, or mabni lil maf'ul becomes suwina. Now, since it is suwina, we have to make the swad kesra. So we move the kesra of the waw to the swad. So suwina now becomes sui, and then waw and nun. I don't know how it will be pronounced because you have swad kesra. You can't pronounce it, so you better make the waw yai so that you get sina, sina. Jamil, sina. That is easier to pronounce. So what has happened here? We have first of all moved the haraka of the ainul fi'l, which is waw. We've moved it to sad, and then we've changed the waw to yai. So two things has happened to the verb. نقل الحركة أو نقل حركة عين الفعل إلى فاء الفعل أو إلى فاء الفعل. And then we've also done قلب عين الفعل ياء. So we've done two things, نقل and قلب. So he says, فقلت, you say for example, سينا. For سوينا, it becomes سينا. إلى آخره. He says, وإعلاله بالنقل والقلب. The illa there, what has happened to the verb is you've done نقل and قلب. And then when you do for ba'a, what happens? Ba'a becomes buyi'a. You move the kasra to the ba, then becomes bi'a, khalas. So only thing you do is nakl al-haraka. So he says, وَإِعْلَالُهُ بِالنَّكْلِ. The illa there is the movement. It says, وَتَقُولُ فِي الْمُضَارِعِ. In the mudari of these verbs, you say yasunu, yabi'u. Originally these verbs yasunu should be yaswunu. Yaswunu. The dhammar on the waw is a bit heavy, so you move it to the sad. Then it becomes yasunu. So there is nakl haraka. Yabi'u originally is yabi'u ala wazni yaksiru yaf'ilu. You move the haraka of the yai to the ba, then it gets yabi'u. So the illa here is nakl haraka halas. So it's وَإِعْلَالُهُمَا بِالنَّكْلِ. The illa of the two verbs is just nakl. We have as well وَيَخَافُ وَيَهَابُ. So يَخَافُ originally is يَخْوَفُ ala wazni يَفْعَلُ. So يَخَافُ يَفْعَلُ would have been what? يَخْوَفُ. Then we move the haraka of the waw to the kha. Then we change the waw to alif to make it a mad, so it becomes يَخَافُ. So we do two things, nakl al-haraka wa qalb al-harf. Yahabu likewise, it is ya'i, so it was yahyabu, ala wazn yaf'alu. Yahyabu, we move the haraka of the ya'i to the ha, then becomes yaha, ya'i and ba. We change the ya'i to alif, then becomes yahabu. So we do nakl al-haraka and qalb al-harf. So we do two things. So it says وَإِعْلَالُهُمَا بِالنَّكْلِ والقلب. جميل. So the الفعل معتل العين or أجوف or ذو ثلاثة, however you prefer to call it, this is what happens to it. In our next episode, we will be looking at دخول الجازم على الأجوف. When the حرف الجزم, أداة الجزم enters into فعل الأجوف, what happens to the فعل. Inshallah, in our next meeting, that is what we will be looking at. May Allah grant us the next meeting in peace. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما. آمين. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Do not hesitate if you didn't get clarification on anything, inshallah, so that we clarify together. Assalamu alaikum.